If two people have Venus square Mars in their synastry chart, will they stay together long term? How will the Venus person view the Mars person? Is this an easy aspect to have between two lovers? Stay tuned as we deep dive into these questions and more today as we unpack what it's like to have Venus square Mars show up in your synastry chart. What do we learn when we see Venus square Mars in a synastry chart? Well, let's first unravel what kind of energies we have at play here. So up first, we have someone's Venus energy with this square. Venus represents beauty and your values. It can show you what you want in a relationship. It can show you what you're attracted to. It is considered a more feminine planet. Mars represents action and assertiveness. It can show you how you go about getting what you want in a relationship. And it is considered a more masculine planet. So what happens when we have the planet of beauty squaring the planet of action and assertiveness? All I can say is when these two come together, they dance. It reminds me of the Paso Doble. Do any of you watch Dancing with the Stars? The Paso Doble actually is one of my favorite dances. And it totally reminds me of two people that have their Venus square Mars in synastry. It almost always starts out where the masculine is coming towards the feminine, and then she gets wrapped up with him, and they come together and they dance in sync. And then there are times where they're separate yet in sync. And then there's times where they face off and then they come back together. Yet, all the while, they are maintaining this tension and this level of passion and intensity that can be felt by others around them. It really is a unique dance between two powerful energies. I want to share this poem that sums up this aspect. You're the spark that lights the flame, a fierce desire, a wild game. Love and clash in every stride. Venus meets Mars, nowhere to hide. You pull me in, then push away. A storm of passion, come what may. We're caught in a dance, a wild embrace. Lost in the fire, a reckless chase. I've always said that this aspect is like the weather. You're gonna have some sunny days and you're gonna have some stormy days. So how do two people even find each other with this placement? Well, with any aspect from Venus to Mars, there's going to be an attraction. And with this square, this can kind of catch you off guard because you may view this person as someone you normally wouldn't be attracted to. Now, when these two meet, this is when the cosmic dance can begin. It can manifest with the Mars person pursuing the Venus person and the Venus person putting off the attraction. Maybe the Venus person is in a relationship right now and can't focus on the Mars person. Or maybe the Venus person wants to test her partner to see how hard he will try for her. This energy can manifest where the two don't like each other in the beginning, or they think that they won't like each other. But then they talk and they realize, hey, wait a minute, there may be some chemistry here. The Venus person can fight with themselves about being attracted to the Mars person or go back and forth with themselves about it. And the Mars person can be persistent because they know the Venus person likes them. The Mars person can be very attracted to the tension that the Venus person creates. After all, Mars is a planet that knows all about tension. So if this blooms into a romantic relationship, it can be passionate and intense and confusing all at the same time. It reminds me of Jim and Pam in The Office. He was immediately attracted to her, but she was engaged to someone else, so she really wasn't paying him a lot of attention. But once they started talking and interacting with one another, they had amazing chemistry. They even worked together to play pranks on Dwight. There was the tension building when they first started interacting. They had a chemistry that she did not have with her fiance. So if these two people come together, will it be a long-lasting relationship? This is a tricky question because this literally is just one aspect in a chart. There are so many things that can change how this aspect works between two people. First off, there are different types of squares. There are squares in fixed signs, there are squares in mutable signs, there are squares in cardinal signs, and these energies can play out differently. Also, you really have to look at the entire chart with this one. What are the aspects to the moon? What about Saturn? Are there any other Mars or Venus aspects? What sign is this occurring in? There are some people that will love the challenge that is brought up between this aspect. And there are others that will have aspects in their Synastry chart that are softer and will balance this out. There are people who can love the teasing that this aspect brings and the competitiveness. And then there are people who are going to find this aspect hard over time. Someone may not want to have to jump through hoops or an obstacle course just to get what they want in a relationship. So the way that you handle this aspect is going to depend a lot on the other parts of your chart. This has the potential to manifest where the man is the Mars and the woman is the Venus, or it can manifest where the man is the Venus and the woman is the Mars, and that can affect things. What I'm getting at is I'm going over a very general part of your Synastry chart. Now, we will go over later on in the video how this energy will be different if the woman is the person that has the Mars and the man is the Venus, because it will manifest differently. I am not here to tell you if your relationship is going to work out long term. I'm here to guide you on what energies to look out for so that you become aware. It's up to you how you handle it. It's usually not common for this aspect to make it long term just because there is a tension in how you both handle things, and that can get frustrating over time. So a lot of people enjoy the chemistry and the wild attraction in the beginning, but let's say 7 years into the relationship, when the honeymoon phase is way over, the way your partner handles things may get on your nerves. These are the relationships where you have never been so turned on in your life by a partner, yet so aggravated at the same time. It can also manifest into a push-pull dynamic, which some signs are secretly going to love and others are gonna hate. There is a lot of lust in this relationship, and it's possible that in the beginning, these natives get lust confused with love. So there can be misunderstandings or things miscommunicated in the relationship, and that can cause arguments. But the addicting thing to this placement is that makeup sex can be so full of passion and intensity. So these two may argue and then release the tension in the bedroom. Now, one of the more frustrating ways that this manifests is it seems like your timing is always off in this relationship. You may have compatibility in some ways, but it can also seem that when you want something, your partner doesn't. And this can be incredibly frustrating. there can be a difficulty in connecting in some ways. Maybe the Mars person in the bedroom wants things fast and hard, and the Venus person is like, slow down and like, let's enjoy this and stop being so aggressive. I don't like that. What makes it difficult is they can be so similar in some ways, yet so different. And that's confusing as can be. Let's say you have a partner who has their Venus in Gemini and they are with someone who has their Mars in Virgo. These people are similar in that they do a lot of thinking and they both analyze things and they can communicate and they both can love learning. But Virgo is more concerned with the details and how something will affect things. Whereas Gemini is like a curious little critter and uses their intellect, but is not necessarily concerned with the minute details of things. So having a partner that is concerned with details with a partner who never pays attention to details can feel frustrating sometimes. You know, maybe over time, the Virgo starts to feel like, how in the world is this Gemini ever gonna make it without me? They don't pay attention to anything. And maybe they feel like they are the ones that have to pay attention to the details for both parties, and that can get burdensome. The person with the Mars aspect, especially if it's in the more direct, assertive Mars, can just get tired of always having to go through something to just get what they want. It can feel like in order to get what they want, all the energies, the stars, and the timings all have to align in the universe. And that's not consistent. So it's possible that the Mars calls it off. Again, it does depend on the Mars and the other aspects, because some Mars could just step outside of their relationship to get their needs met. It can feel like a whole lot of work to keep this relationship going. So what happens when a woman's Mars squares a man's Venus? Well, this can be tricky. It depends on the Mars really and the aspects to it, but you can have a more direct Mars where the woman will pursue the man, or at least feel like she may be more interested in the beginning. So maybe she has a Mars in Aries and this squares her partner's Venus in Cancer. It may come across like she's too aggressive to her partner from his perspective. And that's the key. Her energy isn't wrong. Some men would love her aggressiveness. But with the square, how she handles herself isn't always comfortable for the Venus in Cancer. But he may be intrigued by how she came after him because maybe he's never had a woman come after him before. And this can be uncomfortable for the Mars too, because it can feel like they're imposing themselves on someone, or they care more about someone or something, and this can kind of feel foreign to a woman. The woman may initiate sex first with the man, and he may be more passive, and it can feel like the energies are off to some people, while others are okay with this. Both people have to be accepting of these energies to make it work, and lots of communication and understanding that communication. Where this relationship doesn't work out is when there are two people that have two totally different ideas on how to salvage the relationship and they can't come together. Sometimes if you find this aspect in a more dreamy sign, you can find that your partner doesn't live up to your expectations of how you imagine the relationship would be, and that can cause some frustration. All in all, if you have this aspect with someone, you will have to be accepting of the way that they handle things or what things they may be attracted to. It may be different than you. I put out astrology videos every week, and this week we are discussing aspects in the Synastry charts. If you are interested about learning about your own natal chart, then I invite you to look at my playlist with the aspects to the natal chart. As always, my friends of the zodiac, I have enjoyed unpacking Venus square Mars in a Synastry chart, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Mwah!